if you've got redness, sensitivity or rosacea and you want to put together an ideal skincare routine, this video is for you. I'm Rose, I'm 36 and I've got two different types of rosacea. Type 1 which causes persistent redness and type 2 which can cause pustules and texture in the skin. Now, why should you listen to me is probably a great place to start. Well, what I'm trying to do in this series of videos, this is the second of a 4-part series of longer videos I'm creating, kind of like an ultimate guide to rosacea, is over the years, I've been able to interview lots of different consultant dermatologists through work. And all I'm really trying to do is pass on everything that they've told me. So I want this to be your way of getting expert advice without having had to pay for it. Now, these videos are all a bit of a mixture of my personal experience managing my skin and also relaying that expert advice I've been given. But I've also based each of these videos off 4 different features that I wrote for British Vogue. Now, I've written lots of different things about rosacea over the years, but the reason I'm kind of signposting you to these 4 Vogue features is that at the time of me making them, it's 4. I feel like they are all a great kind of consolidated place to find out about each particular topic of rosacea. So the first one is a bit of a beginner's guide. The second one that we're going to talk about now is how to incorporate active ingredients. If you've already got kind of your skincare basics, but maybe you want to add other things like, let's say, retinol to reduce the appearance of fine lines, but you're not sure how to make it work. The third one is going to be about places that you can go for extra strength ingredients, essentially prescription strength ingredients, without necessarily having to go to the GP or wait ages for a referral. And then the fourth one is going to be slightly more holistic in thinking about ways in which your diet can impact your skin. So there's lots of different topics to go through, and this one really is going to be a chance to go through some of the basics of what should and maybe shouldn't sit within your skincare routine. Now, I would say everyone's skin is different and everyone's rosacea is different. So please take all of this with a pinch of salt. And above all, the number one thing I would love you to take from my videos, well, 2 things actually. The first one is there is so much you can do to reduce your redness. So if you're experiencing redness or painful skin or flushing or anything that you're unhappy with, please know that there is so much that you can do to reduce those symptoms. Even if you've always been red, there is always a way around it. And the second thing I'd love for you to remember from me is it's really important for you to see an expert one-on-one if you can. There are lots of different ways to do that, whether it's to visit your GP, whether it's to visit a pharmacist, whether it is to use an online service. I'll talk about those more in the next video. But things like the Boots Online Doctor, Clearer, Skin and Me, these are all services that you can access from home and get a detailed one-to-one. Top of the video, I would just like to make it really clear that's always going to be the best place for you to seek advice. But in the meantime, hopefully you can get some ideas from me. So let's first of all think about your initial routine. You're experiencing redness, rosacea, sensitivity, that kind of thing. Again, all of these suggestions are based on things that consultant dermatologists have told me over the years. The first thing I'd do is get your routine as simple as possible and as focused on barrier repair. So initially, things like a really gentle cream cleanser, the Toleraine Dermocleanser from Roche Posay comes to mind, is going to be a brilliant way to cleanse your skin. You can use that twice a day. It will gently remove your makeup as well as SPF, as well as any dirt and grime from the day. It takes a bit longer than perhaps a cleansing oil or a cleansing balm, but the results are worth it because you feel like you're just removing your makeup with a moisturiser, and it's really comfortable and it shouldn't exacerbate your skin in any way. The second thing it's really important to have in your routine is similarly a very gentle and ceramide based moisturiser. This is going to be really good again to strengthen that skin barrier, give your skin some much needed hydration and just that feeling of comfort and that kind of, you know, instant relief, and alleviating things like tightness or even heat that you can feel with redness or rosacea but you can't necessarily see. And then the third one, crucial, every single day, it's important to wear an SPF. Now, for two reasons, if you experience redness. The first one, as it would suggest, is that it's going to protect your skin from the sun. So that's always something that you're going to want in your routine. But actually, when it comes to rosacea specifically, SPF has been proven to be something, the sun has been proven as something that can cause a rosacea flare-up. So when you use an SPF, you're actually preventing that flare-up as well as protecting your skin from the sun. Now, those three things in your initial routine should, let's say if you're at the very start of your journey, help you to see a calmness or feel less tightness. It should hopefully help everything look and feel a bit better. Really great starting point. From here, once everything's under control, you might want to start adding a few other things into your routine based on other things that you'd like to target. Now, I'm kind of referring to the feature. I read it just before I started filming this so I could remember everyone's points of view. One of the first things Dr. Justine Hextall from Tarrant Street Clinic, who I love, had said, she said, before you go adding anything else, it's really important to kind of get the skin back to a place of calm. Now, when I mentioned the skin barrier there, what I mean by that is, because I feel like everyone talks about the skin barrier, but I just want to explain the context of why it's important for redness. If your skin barrier is compromised or damaged, what that skin barrier is designed to do is keep moisture in and keep any irritants or pollutants out. So when that's damaged, you're going to find that you lose moisture so much more quickly, and also that irritants are able to get in, and you're going to find your skin is sensitized more easily. So by strengthening the skin barrier, you're going to find that your skin feels more hydrated and it's less likely to have these flare-ups or temperamental moments because everything is working as it should be. Now, for that purpose, ceramides are a brilliant ingredient to have in your routine. They tend to feel really comfortable and buttery, so they tend to be nice for us with kind of the discomfort that can come with sensitivity. But they are also great for working on the overall health and strength of your skin. Then from there, let's say you're feeling really good, it's important to look at where your areas are. Now, I actually today, I've obviously got like my mascara, brows, a bit of lippy on, but I haven't got anything on my skin. So hopefully you can see, it's a bit of a dull day today, so it could be clearer, but you can see like I've kind of got a little patch of veins there. I've got a little patch here. Then generally I get persistent redness here. Touch wood, and I really am touching wood, like mine isn't too flared at the moment, it's really plain ball, but that can be so much more prominent, and you know, it seems to be as calm as it has been for quite a while. What I would do if I want to start adding slightly more active ingredients, I'm going to avoid here. If I start doing it there, that is the area for me that is most likely to just absolutely not take that. Whereas the likes of my forehead or my chin or kind of along here, I can mess about with a bit more. Or I find actually I get a lot of texture here that I notice in my makeup. And so I can exfoliate this little patch, and I do exfoliate it a bit, but I wouldn't exfoliate here. But I feel like I'm jumping from one thing to another, so let me kind of go through a few ingredients bit by bit. I made some notes here so that I wouldn't do exactly this and go completely off piste. So let's say you're using your everyday routine, everything's okay. The next ingredient that's an active ingredient that I would really recommend, and especially if you're someone that experiences pustules or texture, is azelaic acid. Now, before I had my rosacea diagnosis, I was seeing the bumps and pustules, and I was treating these with over-the-counter things that were designed to target acne. And that is like the last thing you want to be doing with a rosacea rash. It's kind of those ingredients could potentially exacerbate that rather than calming it down, because of the fact that that skin barrier is compromised. Now, again, rosacea specifically is something that requires a medical diagnosis. And this is another reason, actually, I should have flagged earlier. This is why I personally don't kind of go into one-on-one recommendations or things, because I'm not a medical professional and it's not something that I'm able to do. That's something you need to see a medical professional for. So I really hope you don't think I'm mean or dismissive, but it's just that I don't have the skill set to do that. And even if I did, I can't do it through a phone. It's something that you would need to show your skin to someone. There are so many questions they would have to ask to give you really correct, proper advice. But for me, with the pustules and bumps and texture, something I know that they will use to differentiate whether it's acne or rosacea is that rosacea bumps and pustules don't tend to come to a head. So they don't tend to be a blackhead or a whitehead. It's kind of just like an angry bump. So if you're seeing that in your skin, that's a really good indication that it might be rosacea that you're experiencing, in which case azelaic acid is a brilliant ingredient for you. Now, azelaic acid is designed to target these kind of inflamed skin areas. For me, it is the thing that massively keeps those bumps and texture under control. It's a lovely ingredient for all over. It'll work on texture, tone, very, very nice. You can get it over the counter at a strength of up to 10%, and lots of different places have that. My personal favourite over the counter would be the Inkey list. It used to just be called Azelaic acid serum, and I saw that they've renamed it at some point to Redness Relief or something like that. Like, that's how great it is at targeting redness. Theirs has a very slight green tinge to it. You don't see it with your makeup or anything. But speaking of makeup, one thing with azelaic acid is it's a funny consistency. So it's quite difficult to formulate. And Colette from the Inkey list, I remember her telling me, I've told her how great I think it is. And she said they did loads of iterations of that to get it right so that it was compatible to be worn under makeup. That's a great affordable option that you can try. Can't recommend it enough. Now, there's two things I'm thinking here. On one hand, if your skin barrier is completely compromised, very sensitive, sensitized, sore, avoid that for a minute until it feels a bit more comfortable. But at the same time, if it's particularly the bumps that are the problem, that's a great thing to put on them to reduce them. So weigh up the two, but that is something I would really recommend. Other active ingredients you may wish to use for different reasons. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is a lovely one for, let's say if you're following like your everyday routine, you don't get all the like pizzazz that other people get when they can use all these fancy things. So I can't say I ever particularly look at myself and feel like I'm really glowy without the help of makeup. And vitamin C is a brilliant ingredient to protect your skin against free radical damage and pollution. It's so really good if you're living in a city, but it can also be a lovely one to just add a bit of radiance to your skin, in particular if you're following your very simple routine and you just want to feel like you've got a bit of a glow. Great for tired skin, busy mom, busy carer, that kind of thing. I would say try and get one from somewhere that specialises in slightly more sensitive skin. The CeraVe vitamin C is one that I've been able to use and tolerate really well. Roche Posay have their own vitamin C, which again has been formulated with that more sensitive skin in mind. Lovely one to use in the morning so that you get all of the benefits of protecting your skin against that free radical damage. Now, another one that lots of people may wish to incorporate is retinol. Retinol is a great ingredient to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and it can also be really good at targeting texture in the skin. However, because that encourages your cells to turn over that bit more quickly, it can be a bit of an irritant depending on where your skin is at in its rosacea stage or flare up, or you know where you're at with your skin barrier. So what I would say with that, it's absolutely not out of the question, but I would personally recommend that you see someone one-on-one and do that in a really specific way. So for example, Clearer is an online skin service that I've used for years. Fantastic, cannot recommend it enough. It is Dr. Emma Craythorne's brainchild. She's a fantastic dermatologist that you can follow for one-on-one advice. But basically you send photos to her and her team, really close up. You answer a really thorough questionnaire about your skin, and she will bespoke make a blend of active ingredients to suit the several things that you may wish to target. And one of the things that she can incorporate is maybe tretinoin, if that's something that's going to be suitable for your skin. So I would say with that one, because it is that bit more it can be that bit more exacerbating of redness symptoms, but it's also one that gives great results when you do it well. I would get one-on-one advice to just make sure that however you're incorporating that is really safe for you and your skin. A couple of special mentions, especially in the early days. Any derm has told me over the years that it can be best to avoid oils. In general, oils don't play well with rosacea. Now, I'm very honest in these videos where I'm like, I'm not going to be do as I say, not as I do. For example, one of my favourite products that I love and wouldn't be without is the Mist Cleansing Balm. Now, that is an essential oil-based balm, very rich. I love taking my makeup off with it. I have no problems. That's oil-based, so I know that I have that in my routine. But in fairness with that, I'm washing it off and it's going down the drain. I would just be very mindful of experimenting with whether your skin is better or worse with or without those oils, because for a majority of people, you may find that your skin is that bit calmer without them, in particular essential oils, because they can be quite irritating to a more sensitized skin. Now, the other one I want to bring up, which is, right, any derm would say to me, be really, really careful or just avoid exfoliating a rosacea prone skin. However, if I'm thinking about me, the rosacea can come hand in hand with the moisture loss, which leads to dryness, which can feel horrible, which means that your makeup doesn't sit well, and it's this whole rigmarole. So two things can be really good here, a little dose of oil or a little dose of exfoliation. So what I do every so often, only when my skin is really, really calm, I will do a very rare exfoliation. I can do it more if, like at the moment, I'm a bit calmer. I've been doing it a bit more, every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks, however little I can get away with it. I try and avoid oil, and I'll use really rich moisturisers, but the odd time, if it's just not cutting through or I've gone desperately dry, I might do an oil overnight. The counteraction of that will be, I will personally see the bumps and pustules come back, but the comfort is back in my skin, so it can be a bit of a balance. And then with the exfoliation, even though that can cause redness or the bumps to come back, it can mean that because that dryness is gone, your makeup sits more comfortably and you feel like you've got a better coverage, and that you see your makeup less. Because when your makeup goes onto dry skin, it looks dry, it looks cakey. So often I will say to people when they say, oh, that's really dry, or that sits in my lines or whatever, I'll often say, do you know, if you could go home, exfoliate, try that again tomorrow, you might find that that makeup item that you thought wasn't working for you will work completely differently. But again, those ingredients, it's all important to make sure that you are considering where your skin is at any given time. If you're in a very sensitized, sore, tight time, it's not the time to be throwing any, you know, all singing, all dancing things in. And it's the time to go back to basics with your ceramide-based things to repair and strengthen the skin barrier, and then you can have your fun again. I'm going to leave this here for now. As I say, this was based on a feature I wrote for British Vogue. So if you just type my name in, Rose Gallagher, they'll all come up. You can have a little read. You can learn more about all of the consultant dermatologists that essentially corroborated all of the things that I mentioned there. The next video will be about online services and how you can use those to get a perfect kind of prescription strength solution. And above all, please remember, I know it's frustrating having redness or sensitive skin. There's so much you can do to reduce your symptoms, and you don't have to suffer with this. Please speak to somebody if it's bothering you or impacting your day to day. But anyway, Have a lovely rest of your day and I'll chat to you soon.